A couple from Ukraine booked my Airbnb. They brought a kid they claimed not to be their own into my apartment. They lost my keys. They did all of this to take advantage of Spain's broken legal system. Today I'm going to fill you in on one of the most horrific experiences that I had in my entire life. It just happened recently. If you're interested in a second home in Spain, this video is a must watch. It will expose you to some of the broken laws that go against landlords in Spain. And people with second residences in Spain are at the greatest risk. So Spain got this law, it's called Ocupas law, which says that if a person enters an empty property, an empty apartment, empty house, whatever, and is being undetected for 48 hours or longer, that person can legally reside in that place, in that apartment, house, property, whatever, until the person is being evicted legally by the court. And that process can take several years, as there are more and more and more of these cases. I bought an investment property in Spain, and I did that for a number of reasons. I was going to live in that place for a certain amount of time each year, be it a couple of weeks, a couple of months. I wanted to spread it out. Last year I spent some time in that apartment, had a great time. I have friends there and I really enjoy my time. However, there was this experience which just happened in December, January. So December 2023, January 2024. So this is very, very recent. So I received this booking request on Airbnb, and you don't really think that much. And I saw that the person was from Ukraine. And so I felt like, well, I don't want to be full of prejudice. I'm going to accept this person. I want to give every person a chance to stay at my apartment. That person only had one review, probably was a red flag. So it wasn't the best of decisions I made over the past 12 months, but it was a decision that I did regret, and it was a decision that opened up a door to learning and to really exposing me to a whole new world that I never had access to. And I didn't want to have access to this new world, but it taught me a lot about the laws in Spain, and I knew about this law in Spain anyway before I bought the apartment, because I bought this apartment, and when I bought it I talked to people and I told them, this Ocupas law in Spain is definitely a problem. If you are a landlord and this is not your primary residence, which in my instance it's not, and you're not there, you always need to have someone look after your apartment, or you're exposing yourself to more risk than you need to, which of course I did. I have people looking after my apartment, plus the apartment is secured. You got a security door, cameras, and so forth. So I did the best I could to protect my apartment. However, I received this booking from a person in Ukraine who said that they were going to arrive on the island at 1 p.m. They were going to be at my apartment at 1 p.m. There was going to be a weekend. They booked it for a whole month, and that's what I was looking for. I was looking to rent it out for at least 2 weeks to 4 weeks. And in Spain, unfortunately, the laws, we're talking about real estate laws, especially rental laws, they actually go against the landlord in more cases than not, which is something that I knew about because I have friends who own real estate in Spain, and they owned it for well over 10 years, and they told me about that. And that's how I initially got exposed to the Ocupas law in Spain. And you can look up this law. Like I said, it basically says that if a person stays in your apartment for more than 48 hours illegally, undetected, that person can stay in your apartment, and you cannot evict them. You cannot force them out unless the court approves of it. So you're in a very bad situation. And this is a very left-wing law, of course, and it goes against landlords, and you can't even turn off the electricity, you can't even turn off the water, you can't even turn off the internet. It's considered a criminal act, which is crazy because a person enters your apartment illegally, and that person should have not been in your apartment in the first place because the point of entry was illegal. They pretty much, broke the law, but in Spain, this is actually legal, which is crazy, and hopefully this will change in the not so distant future. We'll see. And so anyway, I got this booking from a couple in Ukraine, and they said they were going to arrive at 1 p.m. And the same day, they told me that, I got a message in the morning that they're already there, which was kind of strange because, flights, they could be like half an hour early, an hour early maybe, but 4 or 5 hours early, that didn't make any sense, which kind of showed me that that person or that couple, they were already on the island before. They didn't arrive the same day, so they lied about that. So I sent someone over, they did the check-in, everything worked fine. They confirmed that they checked into the apartment successfully. They're very happy. We cleaned it, it's nice, it got beautiful views, everything works. We upgraded the electricity power. We did invest in the apartment a little bit, and it's a really nice place. You got beautiful views, you got Tay views and also Atlantic Ocean views. barbecue. So it's really nice. It's a really nice place. And November through March is definitely high season where you can expect to rent out the apartment for a lot more money than in the summertime. The lady informed me that she wanted a kid to stay at my apartment, and I told her that the apartment was not, for kids. It's not suitable for kids. It's not secured or anything. If anything happens, then I'm going to be held accountable. I have to be responsible. So I told her, and the listing said too that the apartment is not suitable for kids. And when she made the booking, she entered 2 adults only. Then I told her, no, that is not an option. The kid cannot stay in my apartment because it's just not childproof. It's not secured or anything, and I don't want to be held responsible in the event of something bad happening, an accident or something. She agreed that the kid was just going to come over to visit at times, and the kid was not going to live in my apartment. However, thanks to the receptionist camera footage, we learned that the kid was living in my apartment for the whole period. About 2 weeks before the checkout date, it was right after New Year's Day, the lady told me that she had lost one of the keys, which was really, really weird because it happened right before the checkout time. And I know exactly what happened. Like, those people are refugees from Ukraine, and they're desperate. And so when people are desperate, they make desperate decisions that lead to desperate actions, which in this case clearly mirrored what happened. Then I asked them to clarify, because at the end of the day, it's my place and I want to know where the keys are. She told me that the keys got stolen while they were at the beach, and that her handbag was stolen as well. And then I told her, well, if that's the case, then you definitely have to file a report at the local police station where my apartment's located. And she said she was going to do it. I think it was the same or the next day that she sent me the filled out form, the police report form, but it was missing vital information from the police department, the handling officer, the signature of the officer, and a few more important details. And then I told her this form is not complete, and she pointed out actually before she sent me the form that the stamp, the signature of the police officer department were missing. And I told her, well, we can't do anything with that form, we need it completed for it to be valid. And then I reminded her the next day, and she didn't get back to me. She said she would do it, but she's kind of busy, she had other things to do. I understand that, but this is a very important issue. We don't want anyone to have access to our apartment. She only completed it because when I told her that if she is not going to file the police report by tomorrow, that we were going to file it ourselves. And the moment I said that, like literally within hours, we received the police report. So she must have went back to the police department in that city and completed the form, and that was the end of that. On the day of the checkout, something really interesting happened, which surprised us a little bit. I sent people over to handle the checkout for me because I was not in town. And then the following thing happened. The people who I sent, they looked at the apartment and they told me the apartment had never been cleaner. So that actually came as a complete surprise. Given everything that happened, we thought the apartment would actually look like crap, which it did not. It actually looked better than when they moved in, even though it looked perfect when they, arrived at the apartment. But they told me, like the people I sent to my apartment, they told me the apartment never looked cleaner than that day, which came a bit as a surprise. But those people who were informed about the laws, and the people who I sent over to handle the checkout on my behalf, I instructed them to ask questions to the tenant, to the people who booked my Airbnb. Then they finally admitted, the people who stayed at my Airbnb, they finally admitted that they were refugees from Ukraine, and that the kid was not even their own, and that they were in a very desperate situation. We all believe that there's a very high probability that the keys were not lost, but that they kept the keys themselves to come back later. They were going to take a look at the apartment, see when, during what dates the apartment is available, is empty. They were going to come back, occupy the apartment, potentially change the locks if they had not tried to change the locks during the time they were at my apartment. Those people clearly know about the laws in Spain, and I had nothing but problems with those Airbnb guests. My apartment is definitely secure now. We installed cameras, we got a security door, so nothing's going to happen there. Plus the neighbors, they take a look at my apartment, so the apartment is fully secured, nothing's going to happen there. I'm not worried about it at all. But just knowing that, let's say you want to go buy a second home in a European country, and this isn't just Spain, okay? If you look at France, Austria, Germany, but it's definitely the worst in Spain. It's also very bad in France, and it's also bad in many other European Union countries. So if you think that you can go into those European Union countries. If you as an American Canadian, you want to go there to purchase a second home, and you think that you are 100% protected by law just because it's the European Union, then you are not informed at all, because the law actually says that the person has been in your home for 48 hours or longer, and they can prove that. I don't know how they're going to prove that, but you have to find that out before the 48-hour window elapsed, or you're too late. And then it can take several years for you to get them out of your apartment, and you have to follow the legal process. You can't just force them out of your apartment using police or even taking the law in your own hands. You can't do that, or you may actually face criminal charges against you for protecting your property, your second home. This is something you should be very concerned about, especially if it's a second home, a second residence in Europe. This is a topic that has not been discussed by a competitor of ours before. I believe we're the first channel to address this issue, but I think it is important. This situation almost played out. I was aware of it, and we took the necessary precautions to prevent this illegal situation from fully playing out. And thankfully, I have good contacts, trustworthy contacts, and thanks to them and thanks to some of the precautions that I took and some of the things that we spotted early on, and the whole story wasn't making any sense, we actually prevented a serious crime from happening. Similar laws exist in other countries, even in Latin countries. If you rent out your apartment, your house, whatever, and that person stayed at your apartment for a number of years, that person might own the apartment. So if it's your main residence, your main home, then that's a whole other story. But if it's a second residence, then that's a bigger problem. And you have to really know what you're doing. You have to know about the laws, or you're going to face a lot of trouble. So I'm going to say have to, not need to, because you have to do it to protect your capital. And you want to protect your capital. And here at Nomad Elite, we're all about protecting your capital. We're all about telling you the truth. We're not beating around the bush. We're telling you the truth, the facts, the laws, even if they're uncomfortable, and even if they might stop some of you from purchasing a second home in Europe. It's really important that you are informed about these laws, because we do not want you to take any losses. Unnecessary losses. Anything can happen, but you've been warned, you've been informed, and I hope this video was helpful. If you have a similar story to share with us, please do that now. Share your thoughts in the comments below. And if you need any help with obtaining a residence permit in Europe or Latin America, despite of everything that I just mentioned, you're still interested. But again, there are certain precautions that you can take, and you can secure your apartment, and there are a couple of other things you can do, which I'd be more than happy to inform you about in more detail. So please feel free to reach out to us now. You should see our website displayed right below the video. Thank you so much for watching Nomad Elite. We appreciate you, and we see you on the next video.